live.
We live!
Is it Croc Month?
It's Croc Month!
It's Croc Month. Hello. Hello, Will.
Hello, David.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our becoming annual Croc Month live stream where we celebrate Croc Month, we celebrate Crocs, and Will gets to geek out a bunch about Crocs and stuff.
Yay!
We are gonna get started here in just a couple minutes. First and foremost, we'll talk about some stuff. But before we do any of that, hop in the chat. Let us know if you can see us and hear us okay. I've got it pulled up and it looks like I can see us okay. Let us know if you're here. Let us know if you're watching. Say hello. Give us a happy Croc Month. Let us know your favorite Croc, and we will soon get into the discussions about cool reptiles. Look at all these people who are here. Lox is here. Alex is here. Ali is here. Riv is here. Look at all of these folk.
Hi, everybody.
The public special occasion live streams are always super fun because we see a bunch of names that we don't see at our other, like our patron live streams and stuff like that. Andrew is here. Hello, everybody. We will also be joined soon by super special guest, host of the world-renowned Leave It to Us podcast, Nora Sperling. Will be here to join us. Will be here to join me in listening to Will talk about Crocs.
Yep.
Hello, oh, look at all these people. Lydia's here. Kolowaskolo is here. Red and Green is here. Incredible. It's June here in Common Descent. June is Croc Month, where we celebrate Crocs in honor of World Croc Day, which is 2 days from now, June 17th. Last year, we did the live stream on the 17th. This year, we're scooching it a little bit earlier for scheduling reasons. But there will be a special thing happening on June 17th, our first bonus episode for Croc and Snake Month this year will be Croc Chat with our friend Maddie Tarala, who joined us to talk about some of her alligator fossil research. Very, very fun discussion.
Yeah.
And then we will have another one next month for Snake Month, but there'll be time to talk about Snake Month later. It's Croc, but you got to give Crocs their time. They're the opening act, and it's bad form for the main act to like step in and interrupt.
Well, and like it's good for, when the opening act really blows it out of the water, you still need to be
you still got to sit through it.
Yeah, and you have to still show up for you can't be bitter.
Sure. This is what you paid for.
I've heard stories from like stand-up comedians about that happening, where like the opening act did better with the audience than the main act, and then the main comedian being like, "Hey, don't ever work for me again." Like, I never want to work with you ever again.
I'll tell you, Will, Croc Month can continue to be before Snake Month for as long as we do it. During Croc Month, our celebrations have included the Croc Chat channel on our Discord, where people have been chit-chatting about Crocs all month. That is open exclusively during June. It will be gone next month. Also on our Patreon, the Croc and Snakes tier is open. Again, only for the summer months. Patrons who subscribe at the Croc and Snakes tier get a special Croc and Snake Month stickers, and donations we receive at these tiers during these months contribute to charitable donations we will be making towards reptile and wildlife conservation later in the summer. This year, we will be donating to our two mainstays, the Crocodile Research Coalition and Save the Snakes. And our third for this year is the Natural Resources Defense Council. Yeah. So if you would like to contribute to these donations, join us at the Croc and Snakes tier on Patreon. Or if you can't do that, make your own donation to a place. Support wildlife and reptiles and volunteer. There's all sorts of ways to help out that aren't just money.
Yes, absolutely.
But also for this, so the way that this live stream is going to work is we're just going to kind of hang out. Listeners, we appreciate you so much for listening. We appreciate you so much for showing up. a live stream is a super fun opportunity for us to interact with you, the audience. So say stuff in the chat. We'll keep an eye on it. If you ask a question or if you say something particularly fun, we'll read it and we'll say it. If you leave a comment and we don't mention it, it's either because we forgot and missed it or because we hated it and we're ignoring it on purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
You'll have to, guess which one it is. And this is shout out to all our fellow people with anxiety.
Yeah. The secret is you just always assume it's the benign one, and until told otherwise, because really it's their fault for not communicating more clearly.
But also, Will, you have compiled a bunch of Croc-related news for us, have you not?
Absolutely. Some recent Croc, like some research like we do in typical news stuff, but also just like news articles on modern stuff going on. Not necessarily all research-based, just how things are going in Croc world. And there's some good tidbits.
Yeah, let's start with those. I'm going to read off a few comments real quick before we get into the first news.
Oh, yeah.
Kolowaskalo said, "This is my first live stream. I'm joining. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us." Andrew is a fan of Caymans. Ali is a fan of Gharials and Gripposuchus.
Stay tuned. That one, so I went and grabbed my Gripposuchus. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My Jurassic Park toy. I love it.
Very cool. What was the other one? Ryan says, "Happy month after Turtle Month." So remember we were talking about comments that we're going to ignore because we hate them. Ryan is here helpfully demonstrating exactly how that works. Thanks, Ryan, for being here.
Don't know what you're talking about.
We know Ryan
just showed up.
Go check out the Calvin and Hobbes podcast that Ryan runs. We were on it recently. And then also, Steven asks, "Is that Smilodon Fatalis on my shirt?" Probably. Whichever Smilodon gets up into Canada. Hey, it's Nora.
Hi, Nora.
Nora Sperling, host of the world famous Leave It to Us podcast. If you're not already listening to Leave It to Us, do it. Go check it out. There's lots of cool plant chat. Nora's great, and also our favorite paleobotanist, Dr. Allie Baumgartner, is the main attraction on Leave It to Us.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then there was one other thing. Riv brought up the last thing that I want to mention before we get more talking about Crocs. June is also Pride Month.
Yes.
So happy Pride, everybody. I see that you also came very prideful.
Nature's queer.
Let's see, mine's not officially a flag, but it's got a bunch of colors on it. So I'm sure this combination of colors matches some flag pretty closely, but I wouldn't be able to figure that out anyway.
It kind of looks like the pan flag.
All right.
A little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah. Will, quick question for you.
Yeesh.
I have my own take. Quick question as a professional. Queerest Croc.
Ooh.
Living.
Ooh.
Extant.
I do have an immediate thought.
I have an immediate thought.
About Queerest Croc. What's your thought?
Gharial.
That was my thought, is Gharial.
Yeah.
Gharial, for vibes, absolutely. For behaviors, I don't know that there's been many, like, same-sex mating. I'm sure it has happened, but I haven't heard, like, it being a regular thing that happens. Because, like, male interactions, they will do dominant stuff that is similar to the way they will, like moving on top of a female or something, but it's male interactions have a very different air to them, typically, of time to murder you. But alligators, I saw a video just the other day of a male and female that were in a place together and had been in habitat with each other for years and years, so they were like a very much mated pair. And they were videoing the female swim, because when gators, at least, and I think this is true for most other crocodilians, but I don't know in every single individual specifically, when they go to mate, the male will typically swim over the female, in the water, because they mate in the water because they can't do it on land.
Too heavy.
Yeah, just not acrobatic enough.
Or agile, yeah.
And so the male will swim over the female. Female will submerge, and that is her showing like receptiveness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she'll often like blow bubbles to indicate, and they'll blow, blowing bubbles is one of the ways they'll court. And the male will swim over her or over the female, and then they'll mate. The video was the female doing the same thing to the male. And so not like
in the relationship.
Exactly. I was about to say, not like fully queer, but switching up the dynamics.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, as we have discussed before, queer in both the sort of classical definition, but also including in its more modern usage, just means not the norm.
Yes. Yep.
So that's most of it.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right, Will, give us some Croc news. What's new in the world of Crocs?
New?
Yeah. This one, I was very excited. This is always the fun thing about doing these, is I get to catch up on some recent stuff and I find out tidbits I didn't know. There was a study that looked at DNA evidence for a population of Crocs that used to live on, I don't know how to say this island's name, is Seychelles?
Oh, the Seychelles. Yeah, it's
Seychelles. There we go. I
told Will before we started that I brought up the document in case any really bizarre words come up and we need to collaborate on them.
Well, and Seychelles is one of those, I've heard that. This is the first time seeing it spelled.
Yes.
Seychelles Islands off the coast of Africa used to have a population of Crocs on it, but they were extirpated and wiped out in like the early or like right around the 1800s. Settlers arrived there in 1770, and like within about 50 years they had been wiped out. So used to be a population, but people didn't know what species it was that used to be there. We had descriptions, but we weren't sure what it was. This study did DNA analysis on a few preserved specimens and pieces of Croc from that population and comparing it to other specimens, and found that they were, in fact, saltwater crocodiles. The Australian saltwater like that type of saltwater crocodile, not Nile crocodiles, not any of the species known in Africa today. It was the westernmost population of saltwater crocodiles, as far as we know. Cool. And they put out that.
And the Seychelles are over near kind of like Madagascar, India, like off that coast of Africa.
Yes.
I believe so.
Right. Okay.
That's not and that they
that's
said because they said that they would have had to cross about 3,000 kilometers over the Indian Ocean from their next nearest population.
Wow.
Right? And like of all the crocodiles to do it, it makes sense that it's saltwaters because they do make ocean voyages.
Yeah. That's really fascinating to think. Like, it's always a shame whenever a population gets extirpated from somewhere, because that's very sad. But also it's scientific, like academically, it's a shame because did they behave differently? Were they like an odd subpopulate? Were they like doing their own thing? Might we have called them a subspecies or something like that if we were able to observe them?
And based off the genetic data, probably not a subspecies, because there's evidence for regular gene transfer, that this was not a one-off a population made it to these islands. It seems that this was happening over generations, and that this was just part of their range historically.
Oh, cool.
And they would, every so often, individuals would make that trek either through ocean currents or whatnot, and there was a connection there. So yeah, they were just used to be also reaching to Africa.
I wonder if that, I mean, it, to me, it kind of implies that we could find other populations kind of along that pathway.
Yeah, I was
Because
wondering the same thing.
they're probably not going straight 3,000 kilometers over sea. They're probably like bopping in like a small boat would. You know?
Yeah. I wonder if we would be able to find evidence. They made the point that like not only does this increase their range, you know, historically by a bunch, but modernly, and this is something I knew they had a wide range, I hadn't considered it in this perspective. So currently, saltwater crocodiles are found from the northern territories, territory and areas of Australia, all the way up to just reaching India. You know, so they're not the most common, but they just I think they just reach the edge of India, which makes them the most widespread crocodilian. Also, one of the most widespread reptiles. Period. On like other than like sea turtles and stuff, this is one of the most wide-ranging reptile species that we have today.
And I was going to say the other examples are sea turtles and sea snakes.
Yep.
Because being able to disperse across the ocean keeps, well, like orcas have I think, full cosmopolitan distribution. Like, if there's a body of water attached to an ocean, I think orcas can basically get there.
And even the ones that aren't, if someone's gonna figure out how to get there, it'd be orcas.
Even orca shows up in your backyard.
It's orcas wearing a mustache, driving a truck.
just heading to Chicago.
I heard there were seals here.
I wanted to mention it's just showing up to a seal concert. Ryan said, if I knew how to insert GIFs, I'd put the one of Scuttle from The Little Mermaid saying, "Whoa, what a swim."
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And it's just this fascinating thing where, like, when you look at the range for saltwater crocodile, it's just, you know, Australia and East Asia, and then every island in between those two is highlighted. And just like, they are just, anywhere you go there, you have the chance of bumping into a saltwater crocodile. And they used to be even more widespread. It's insane.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah, they really are the closer than you think to being marine crocs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Lydia said, which way did the currents flow in that area? Like in the Indian Ocean? I'm not aware.
I have no idea.
What's like the current? I think it's
we can look that up.
Maybe a clockwise current?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know what that's based on.
Yeah, they made mention of
I'm gonna Google it.
Let's see. Where was it that they mentioned them using ocean currents to make the trek?
There does appear to be a major current that goes up along Australia and then kind of across the Indian Ocean to Madagascar.
Cross right in the middle and then splits at the top of Madagascar. One part goes down, and I presume circles around, and one part goes up towards Saudi Arabia and down past India.
But if they go down, then they get caught in the Antarctic circumpolar current, which is, cold. I imagine, not where a reptile wants to be.
That would be a bad.
So they probably
day.
go up. You got to take the northbound.
Turn right when you hit Madagascar.
If you take a wrong turn, yes. I never should have taken that left turn at Madagascar.
That makes me saltwater crocodile. For the people asking favorites, that's always been my answer for favorite, which is a cliche because it's the biggest, it's the meanest, it goes out in the ocean. But it's very much the T-Rex of modern crocs, and just like, they're so impressive, and they're just such, like, they're the biggest reptile we have left, and they're so cool.
I think I'm trying to think if I have a favorite modern species of croc. And I don't know that I've ever like settled on a favorite because like
how long has this podcast been going on?
Don't tell anybody I said this. I have a reputation to protect, but crocs are really cool.
Yeah.
Just like the general concept of a crocodile is a very cool animal. And I don't think I've ever been particularly caught by one more than any of the others because they're all just extremely cool. Yeah. If I was gonna pick, my gut would be the American alligator because it's my closest neighbor.
Yes.
My closest croc neighbor. Not right this minute, but generally speaking, it's my closest croc.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it still is our closest croc neighbor.
Yep. Yeah. No, if I were to describe it, I love American alligators the most. Like, I have the most love for them. But if I get to pick who I play in a video game, I'm gonna pick a saltwater crocodile every time.
Sure.
It's that kind of thing of like
I would pay a gharial. I'd be a little weirdo.
Yeah, a little clown nose.
Little clown nose. Episto asked, any thoughts on why crocs didn't diversify like turtles on small islands? So when we think about like Galapagos tortoises are a famous example. Is it the Seychelles? The Galapagos isn't the only example. There are others like the Aldabra.
That's in the Seychelles.
In this? Okay, yeah. In the Seychelles, there's also each island has its own turtles.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think crocs have done that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest reason is they can leave.
They can leave, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas a turtle, unless it's a sea turtle, it is aquatic but not marine.
Yeah. And like the tortoises are one of the, where like they can like float to an island, but they can't swim. And they're not really gonna choose to. I'm gonna go over there now because that's like but you're not like a strong swimmer. Like
no, that's one that's like in the pool with a lifeguard on duty.
Yeah, it's like I ended up in the water.
You're not in control of the direction you're going.
Yeah, I can try to aim back toward a dry place.
They're just going.
Yep. Because like even alligators, which are fully fresh, they don't have the salt glands anymore. They can't handle living in salt water. They still can make it to islands. Like we still have island populations of alligators where like you will. I can't remember what the name of the island was that I visited in. I think it was South Carolina on a school trip, and the island has a freshwater lake in it. So there's a huge population of alligators in the lake that refresh and rehydrate there whenever they're moving through the brackish water that surrounds the island. So it's like, even they can island hop if they really need to. Like a big gator, just like us. Like if you got stranded out at sea, you could survive quite a ways. Like you're not going to be as healthy as you would like to be when you get there because the salt will have slowly been leaching water out of you, but we don't die instantly. A big 10-foot gator can actually spend quite a long time in salt water. So even freshwater species, they can get off an island if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I wonder if it's also, I mean, like, crocs just aren't as morphologically diverse as things like turtles as well. Like, they're really conservative. Yeah. So.
And that's like, I think if you were to find a situation where crocs were doing it, it would be a subspecies situation where like, because like there are a number of subspecies that don't get talked about very often, of like caiman and crocodile, where it's like, this is this genetic flavor of this croc is only found in this one little area. Visually, you would not be able to distinguish if I gave you a croc from that population or the rest of the Nile. But genetically, like, and I definitely think that's part of it is they aren't going to, if you put a croc on 5 different islands, they're all going to be doing the same thing. They're not going to be browsing on different things.
No, so they're not adapting to a different niche. They're still eating the turtles and fish that are there.
Just eating different neighbors.
Yeah.
So people are in the chat were listing their favorites, and there has been a couple of comments putting love towards caimans.
Caimans are
And
cool.
I'm gonna read Steven's comment because I think there's a news about this. So we might be pushing Will. I don't know if you had an order in mind, but Steven says, and I believe Steven is coming from Florida. We have a breeding population of black and spectacled caimans now.
Yeah.
I also heard tell of newcomers to the Florida menagerie of species that aren't supposed to be there.
Yes.
Is that one on your list?
Yep. Yeah, we got a thing about
Cool.
there was a study recently trying to better understand. So there's been a breeding population of caimans in Florida since the 80s, since the 1980s.
Okay.
So this isn't a new thing, but it is not old either. And they came in through the pet trade. Spectacled caimans and a couple other species, but the spectacled caiman is the most common caiman. That's the most numerous. It's the most widespread. Caiman, crocodilus is their name. But they are also one of the more moderately sized. Like they max out around like 6 or 7 feet, I think, if I have my numbers right. So like the average spectacled caiman's like under 5 foot, which means for those who want to have a crocodilian as a pet, they stay manageably sized, very heavy.
They sort of pet sized.
Yeah, like very heavy air quotes on that. So like that's often the one people will have. And they came in through the pet trade, got out, probably often getting released of people being like, ooh, it's actually really, really difficult to keep a crocodilian as a pet because you effectively need to make a zoo enclosure because like there's no terrarium big enough. You need to dedicate a room of your house or your backyard to having this animal, and that's a lot of effort. And they got released, and Florida, as it often is close enough to South America in its ecosystem to be a good home for them. So there's been not like huge, but pockets of breeding populations. And this study was them surveying and finding that they were a bit more spread out and established than previously thought. So like it was more of a population than they had thought, and that they were like adapting more easily than they had expected, and were moving more than in their native home. So like they were moving between locations, which might mean that they are spreading out faster than one might expect them to if they were behaving like they do down in South America.
Florida is just building a collection.
Yep.
Just gonna catch every croc species on the planet. We'll have them all in the Everglades.
Yep. And and like on one hand, it makes a lot of sense. Like that they are actually very close neighbors. Like that is they are found fairly nearby down in South America, but it does mean that now we have multiple species competing for very similar resources. Like that's the main issue with caimans, isn't that they're going to come in like the snakehead or Burmese pythons, and it's like, whoa, this is a whole different kind of animal that no one knows how to deal with. It's like, well, no, I mean a caiman and an alligator are pretty similar,
doing the same thing,
but now they're going to be fighting over stuff, and like
right, and now there's more.
Yeah, gators will still probably do all right because they end up almost doubling the size of caimans on average. But it is going to mean that young gators have a whole new list of competition, and that's the main issue.
Dutch Tunikit asked, how big of an enclosure or exhibit would you have to have for a dwarf caiman for it to not only thrive, but for the enclosure to also handle all the waste naturally?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is probably coming from the perspective of a caiman pet owner, which, to be clear, PSA, don't do.
Yes.
But in a hypothetical scenario, if you were to convert your basement to a home for your pet caiman.
Don't. Let's say in a sanctuary environment.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Surprisingly big. I've seen videos of people who like I've seen videos of people who have pets, but I've also seen like nature centers and places that, you know, are showing the enclosure, and like, yeah, you know, for it to be ideal, and like probably by AZA standards, it's going to need to be like living room sized, like like average living room. It's going to need to be about yay big, at least for total square footage, because like a lot of enclosures have a front and back of house. And for those, that total, it's like it would take up an entire large room of your house.
Yeah. But that would be with filtration and stuff.
Exactly.
Like,
and
if you wanted the system to do it itself.
Right.
And honestly, if you wanted to do it yourself, you probably need like a full lake, like at least, you know, like at least pond, because like anything smaller, like if you had even like a swimming pool without some natural flowing water to keep, like, that's just going to become stagnant poop water in a like you'd need filtration. As an example, every single habitat at the aquarium I worked at, even all had filtration, because there was no way to have an enclosed habitat big enough for it to handle itself naturally if you're going to have anything bigger than like shrimp and minnows. Like if you have really tiny animals, you can have natural cycles because they're producing very small amounts of poop. But crocodilian poop is poop.
Yeah, so you would need a living room sized just for the enclosure.
Yeah.
But then you need a adjacent area for all your filtration and, you know, the mechanics. Also, you're gonna need a whole fridge for the food that you need to feed. Also, are caimans, is it healthy to have a lone caiman? Are crocodilians the kind of animals
they're gregarious, but they're not social, right?
So like, if they lived alone, they'd be fine. You know, they're not socially, they're not going to be suffering because of a lack of buddies. Enrichment wise, you know, it's probably not the best for them just to.
It's like having a single cat.
Get a dog.
Yeah.
He can play with the caiman, and also if you run out of food.
I don't think that caiman's going to wait until you run out of food. Right? He's going to say, you know what, you look like kind of like a rabbit. Let's try it.
Get a big dog.
Well, and that's the thing, because I looked this up when I was younger, where I'm like, you can have them as pets, and I went and looked up a whole bunch of blogs and, you know, things like that. And what I consistently found was like, you know, there'd be like whole forums dedicated to like how to care for your pet caiman, and a reoccurring thing was, don't do this, but if you are going to do this, here's how to do it responsibly.
You're already doing it.
Yeah. But don't.
If there is already a caiman in your house, here's how not to abuse it.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the things that they kept, you know, multiple things I found just kept reiterating is like, there is no safe size of crocodilian. Like even the dwarf caimans, which are the smallest modern crocodilian, like basically tied for the dwarf crocodile, which is like they max out at like 4 feet. Like that's about as big as they typically get. Even that can remove fingers very easily, like exceedingly easily. They will have very little difficulty actually mangling you if you are not careful.
Jump.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's the same like dog. You know, like a cocker spaniel, if it decides to really take a bite out of my hand, can send me to the emergency room. And this is an animal like about that size with a bite force probably double what they can produce. Like,
yeah,
and that isn't a social animal
yes,
that knows who not to bite and who to bite.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's also the difference between, you can have tame individuals, but crocodilians are not domesticated. They're not like, they don't want to play nice with us.
And it's like, they're one of those where even the tamed individuals, like, you have ones where they've gotten to know the person, and the person knows the individual, so they work really well. But when you talk with those people, they'll be like, oh yeah, no, but like, if I turn my back at the wrong moment, or if I move in the wrong, like, this is still a croc. And and like, there's some that like a saltwater crocodile, where it's like, no, that they are never safe to be near, period, end of sentence. You can work around them.
Yes.
but you are not safe while you're in the habitat.
By following specific safety protocols.
Yes. We are really spoiled by dogs and cats and livestock.
Yeah.
That it's easy, if you grow up just with domesticated animals, to think that that's how animals are.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
That's not. Those are animals that have been bred for thousands of years to be reasonably safe and comfortable around people. A crocodile has not been bred for any time to be comfortable around people. They're not social animals. And we are legitimately a food source for some species of crocodiles. It's, don't keep crocs as pets.
Yeah.
Just a bad idea.
And it also makes me think,
distance.
Yeah. I saw a post of a person who had like a rescued fox, I think it was. And so it lived with them and was their pet. And it was tame. You know, it was very comfortable with them. But they were saying, like, people always ask how much, like, you know, how different are they from dogs? And they would be like, completely. Like, they're a fox, not a, like, there's really no comparison. Like, there's no overlap. They are a wholly different animal. They look similar. They're related. And that's it. There's no domestication. And they live very differently than a dog. So, like, you can't expect it. So it's even when you think of like crocs in comparison to like having an iguana, so it's like, yeah, but that it's not the same kind of animal.
It's different.
Yeah, it's just different.
Iguana that's eating some plants.
Yes.
I'll say one thing and then let's do more news.
Yeah.
I was been trying to remember what I was listening to, but it was some people talking about someone who was talking about how they grew up or they visited a place that was like a wolf sanctuary where they took wolves that people had tried to make pets.
Yes.
And the way that they described it is because people would get these baby wolf cubs because they're super cute. But then a couple years in, they go, oh, there's a wolf in my house.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
And there's eventually there's a crocodile in your house.
Was it the one that you were talking? The one that Keelan and Garrick went to? Is that what we're talking about? That was a wolf dog sanctuary.
Oh yeah, that's different.
Yeah, that was a wolf dog.
All right, what other news do we got? There's I see a lot of people asking questions about keeping crocs and caimans and stuff. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to a different topic because otherwise we will be talking about that for the rest of the live stream, and we want to get to some news.
Yes. Another news that I have notes on is a new species of Adasaur, which is the fun group to talk about, so I wanted to talk about it. So Adasaurs, group of croc cousins. So these are not crocodiles, but they are in the overall crocodilomorph or crocodiliform, I think. I can't remember right now, but cousins of crocs. We're a Triassic group and are famous for being heavily armored plant eaters. Basically like ankylosaurs, dinosaurs, but croc shaped, more croc related.
Yes.
This is a new species, and there's nothing like crazy about it except that they have this set of armor down the back, and then down the sides they have armor that often takes the form in these big long spikes coming off the side, the margins of their back. And it's very cool looking. and then they've got this little upturned snoot, and they're very cute. This new species
is Garza pelta, which I was gonna comment because we talk about them being the ankylosaurs of crocs. Pelta is like different groups of dinosaurs have like trope suffixes. Pelta is the trope suffix for ankylosaurs.
Yes, it is.
You've got Sauropelta and you've got a bunch of other peltas, which is very funny. Yeah. Borealopelta is one of those.
Yes. The interesting thing with this new species is that they had an issue with figuring out where it fits within Adasaurs, because there's two main groups, the Adasaurinae and the Stagonellopoidea.
Oh. Stagonellopoidea.
That was much faster than I would have said.
Come on, Will. It's just Stagonellopoidea.
Sounds like one of those words that would be made out of like into a song. Stagonellopoidea.
It's the name of a town in Australia somewhere.
Yep. The interesting thing here is the back armor represents the osteoderms of one group, but the side armor represents the armor of the other group. And so that's often how they ID Adasaurs, is by the way their armor like meets up and the shape of the osteoderms, the bony armor, is very identifiable. But here they've got one section looking like one half of the group and one section looking like the other half. And so they weren't sure who it went with. And as they looked into it more, they eventually said, we think it's Adasaurinae, because it seems to generally lean that way with other features. So the side armor probably is just convergent, just they evolved a similar way. But it is a very fun idea that it's got kind of a mixed fingerprint.
One of the things that is so fun to watch, if you follow the paleontological research on a particular group of fossil creatures over time, what you'll see is like, there will be like, this is the list of defining attributes for this group of ancient animals. And then eventually a species is discovered that removes one of those from the list.
Yep.
Where they're like, cool. Well, as of 2010, that's not true anymore, because we found one species that is in this group that doesn't have that feature. And now we have to, hopefully we find other features that help.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it makes me think always of like back in the day, you know, one of the standards was saying that life requires water and sunlight. And then we discovered completely, you know, life ecosystems completely separated from sunlight, and went, well, it still needs water. So that's our list now for what requirements life needs.
The other thing, so Sanan, hello Sanan, we know Sanan, said, it's okay, Will, words are hard. And I want to specify that on the podcast, we cut out us figuring out how to say a word. I do like having the opportunity on a live stream to show that process, because it nicely gets across the fact that, like, yeah, Will and I do this for a living, and even we have to sound it out and try a couple times. Yeah. I have the benefit of getting to read it and really think about it while Will is talking. You have to keep momentum. So you have to, like, I'm going to try it, and then I get to take that moment to go, bang.
Yep.
And then I get it on the first try, because you have to start first.
And I'm a slow reader, so you got through it before I was even through like the second syllable.
That's like, I'm slow reader. I also at least am somewhat dyslexic. And so like I also struggle with, like, if I were reading it to myself, I'd probably be able to figure it out. Trying to say it as I read it is like, all right, too many things, walking and chewing gum, you're doing too much at the same. Now I'm hearing what I'm saying while I'm trying to read, and like it's a new word.
You're getting that feedback.
Yep, it's that thing.
I think this was I don't know if this was a video or a meme. Don't tell Nora about this because she'll be upset to hear it. But it was somebody talking about reading Lord of the Rings and just being like, and then the party went to the forest of to go talk to about the artifact of and then and I was like, that is how I read things like Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Yeah. When I was a kid reading fantasy, I'd be like, and I will just make up that name. And then from now on out, that person's name is Cinnamon.
It's the one that starts with an L.
Yeah, that's how I do it. And they go to the place that starts with F, and then they go to the place that starts with D. And we just yep.
That would happen to me. I'd read Lord of the Rings and it'd be like, uh-oh, another place that starts with L. This is gonna be a problem later.
Lima.
Eventually,
Lima too.
You're gonna go to one of these, and I'll be like, "Is this where the elves are, or is this some other place?"
I have that.
Somebody did. Oh, go ahead, Will.
I would say with similar sounding names in like Lord of the Rings, with like Éowyn and
Arwen and Éowyn.
Arwen, that's it. Yep.
Just come on, Tolkien.
But here's the thing: is bringing it back to the scientific names. Is that Tolkien was a linguist, and he was making languages and building names that are based on these languages, where they say, "Oh, like Éomer and Éo blah blah blah." It's because Éo means horse in this language. So it's the same with this, like Stagon Lepidoidea. Well, the Lepido, they go together because that's a word, and the Stagno goes together because that's a word. And somebody said, let's take these words and describes it, and now it's a new word.
And it is very realistic to actual language when you're like, there's a whole bunch of names that are based off of a ancestral name that are similar. Here it's just extra tricky because it's like, all right, so I get these confused. Which one liked Aragorn?
Yes. Which one was the woman who liked Aragorn and like people were underestimating her, but then she did cool things.
Which is why the movie's great, because you're like, right, the blonde.
Yes, exactly. There she is.
The one who is no man. Incredible. All right, there were a couple of questions here that I did want
to. Zachary Quito said, "How do you tell if it's convergent evolution and not just a transitional species?"
Yeah. So, and it's an excellent question because there are situations where it is very hard to figure out whether the features you're seeing are similar because of relatedness or convergence. And there are famous stories that will come up in near futures of the podcast. Where this has been a big issue. Typically what you're going to look for is, like in this case, if this Adasaur is time-wise doesn't fit to be a transitional species from like one group to the other or something like that, then if it's a more recent one, then it doesn't make sense that it would be a transition that shows this mix of features, because then we would expect that to be something that's when those two groups were splitting. And then also you start looking at other features. You go, all right, this looks really similar. Are there other similarities, or is this just it? And if that's the only part that looks super similar, then you go, okay, well, if nothing else is indicating that they should be connected, then probably you both were just doing something similar with this body part, or this was serving a similar purpose. So it ended up looking very similar. But sometimes it's really hard to tell.
Yeah. One thing, because this is why we like to have a list of defining features to say, all right, these are all of the features that show up in the later members of this lineage. Mm-hmm. So if you have a mixture of features, if you have something convergent, but you also have all of those later evolving features, you can say, okay, we are in this lineage, and then you evolve this other thing. If you are at that early time period and all you have is a mixture, and you don't have any of those distinguishing later features, that's a good point to go, all right, this seems to be like at the base of both lineages. Yes. Because we can get a nice timeline with enough fossils of when did different features evolve. And that helps you to sort of place it on the tree. There was also a question earlier. I can't remember who asked it, so I'm going to Also the names thing is also to say, don't ever feel bad for not being able to pronounce a scientific name. They're literally not meant to be pronounceable most of the time.
Yep.
That's a thing that I run into as a DM when I'm planning our D&D games, and I'll like come up with a cool name for a character, and I'm like, that's a cool name. None of my players will ever say that,
Yes.
so I have to change it.
Yep. Right. That's
or at least give them a nickname.
I'll give them a nickname. That's what I did with Chef. I was like, cool, I'm going to give this character a name that is long and complex and cool sounding, that also makes for a convenient nickname so that people can actually refer to my character.
Yes.
Okay, where was somebody asked why there aren't tiny crocs.
The dragonfly. I did see that one.
Where was it? Oh yeah, because Zachary Caleb asked about dragonfly-sized crocs, and then Andrew said that's actually an interesting question. Lizards can get really small. Why don't crocs get small?
Yeah, and I there's not like a reason they can't be, because like, a baby croc is like yay big, and like that's and they're perfectly a functioning animal, so like they obviously could survive at that size. My guess would be that there's already things eating what they'd be eating at that size, like lizards. They'd be competing with lizards and stuff like that are going to be eating bugs and whatnot at that size.
Right. But is it not, like you said, the juveniles are smaller and they are filling that niche. So they don't have to niche partition as a separate species because they're niche partitioning as an age category. So like the little ones are doing this and they're up in the trees chirping at each other, and then they're medium sized and they're doing this.
Yes.
I think the T-Rex and like
we've talked about
we're trying to figure out like, how different are these species? Is it juvenile? What's happening?
Yep.
Well, and it makes me think of something we talked about in the Toothed Whales episode 172 about how the cetaceans are big by default.
Yep.
Like the smallest cetaceans are dolphins and porpoises that are still like 5 or 6 feet long.
Bigger than me.
Like the smallest species is human sized. Person sized.
And part of that could be physiological, which is also true for crocs, that like you live in the water, you have to stay warm, you have to defend yourself. But also, if you're a dolphin that's smaller than that, now you're just one of the fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a million things you're competing with. So it might be that crocs can't be small without ceasing to be croc-like.
Yes, because I do think the water is a really important note that, water's it takes heat away. And if you're tiny, you lose heat very quickly. And notably, aquatic lizards, typically on the medium to larger size of lizards.
Yes. That's also true of snakes.
Yes. You don't get little ringneck snakes.
Yes. There are tons of tiny snakes, but the smallest aquatic snakes tend to be like 3 or 4 feet long.
Yeah. So
because being in the water is it's tough for vertebrates. It's tough to be a tiny tetrapod in the water.
Yes, because it wants to take your body heat. So I that probably is one of the biggest reasons. Like the terrestrial crocs we have evidence of are not like itty bitty anole sized, but there are way more itty bitty like for crocs, like 3 foot long, terrestrial crocs than there are aquatic. Like it's very common for them to be like dog and fox sized on land, because now they don't have to worry about thermoregulation as much, and can be a small-ish animal.
Locke suggested the cuteness of such a small croc would be like dividing by 0. That is, I think, also a very good, just the maths don't work.
Like the baby chirps would be, well, at that size, and they'd be too high frequency for us to hear, and that's not fair.
They could echolocate, though.
Just beep, 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 beep. What other croc news do we have?
Let's see. Well, speaking of, this one's a very short one because there's not much to it other than, hey, look, But talking about terrestrial crocs, there was a new species from the UK that was a Triassic terrestrial croc, and Galahadossuchus, which looks like
Galahadossuchus now does
right?
kind of require British paleontologists to now name several other.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but how many other ones do you know?
We need a Lancelotsaurus.
Yes.
We need a Robin. I know all the ones from Spamalot.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Robin Mimus. Who else was in Spamalot? Sir not appearing in this film.
Yes. That'll be the one that we just have like very fragmentary.
Yes. That'll be intentionally named one that becomes invalid.
Yes.
And it's just not appearing in this film. Pelta. Galahadossuchus is very fun.
Yeah, and it's a small one. They said it the description they gave was it resembling a greyhound in that like it's long, slender limbs, very small. Yeah, this was a running around on dry land croc cousin, crocodilomorph. There's another species, Terrestiasuchus, that is very similar, that is found from the same locality. So nothing crazy to say, but just one of those fun news to be like, hey, in case you didn't know, running crocs were a thing. And some of them were like probably pretty lickety split, like very long, thin limbs, probably were pretty fast.
So those would those be like potentially like a cursorial predator, like a dog wolf kind of deal?
Yeah. Most of the ones we find still look like they are meat eating. We do have ones that seem to be more omnivorous, that like have a difference of teeth throughout the mouth, kind of like mammals, where they have sharp teeth up front and more grinders in the back, and even like canines and kind of incisors. Like there are some that have kind of like was a Ripasuchus, which is rat croc and dog croc are the coined names when they were discovered. When you look at their mouth, if you didn't see the rest of the skull, it kind of looks like a mammal set of teeth. It's very cool. And then we have herbivorous ones, but those are less common. But omnivorous terrestrial crocs, not uncommon, especially for the smaller ones, not uncommon.
Yeah.
Sanan and Ali both suggested Percival for the Knights of the Round Table. That one didn't have a song in Spamalot, so I don't know that. Here's a question that will appreciate from Lydia. Why are running crocs not common movie monsters?
Yeah, I think it's mainly just that most people don't know about them. They don't get a lot of attention, and part of that I think is like a bunch of them were from the Cretaceous, and if you're going to pull something from the Cretaceous, you're just going to pull a dinosaur.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. And then the rest are, after there are a bunch of terrestrial crocs during the Cenozoic. But if you're going to pull something from there, you're going to pull like a saber-toothed cat.
Right.
And so I just they don't get a lot of attention. They've shown up in stuff. They showed up in Primeval. Both Caprasuchus and at that time it was Pristichampus, which is now, is that Borosuchus now? Ooh, I'm blanking. It's not Pristichampsus anymore. There used to be the Pristichampsids, and they've gotten relocated. That might be the Mechasuchines now, but I'd have to remind myself. So yeah, I think it's mostly just that a lot of people don't know that it's a thing. So if you did it, people would just be like, whoa, what a weird monster you made up.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and that's the other is like, I feel like a lot of the early running crocs or like the Sebesids of the Cenozoic kind of just look like made up movie monsters.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, they just look like a tall croc. Which, so like, they're not, like, you get ones that are really distinct, like Caprasuchus, the boar croc, which has these big projecting teeth from the bottom jaw, and these big fang-like teeth coming down from the upper jaw, and these horn-like projections off the back of the skull, like very dramatic. But even like when Primeval did it, because it's the boar croc, they also gave it tusks because they had to monster it up a little bit more, which really bummed me out. But most of them, like Quincana, which is the famous one from Australia, when you look at it, it just looks like a tall crocodile. Like they've got osteoderms down the back still. You know, their face is different if you know what to look for, but if you're animating it, like when people animate crocodilians, the faces are wrong all the time. Just like too tall, too skinny. Fine, sure. Get the image across, but like they're often this falls within that range of Hollywood margin of error.
Yeah.
So it would just look like you made a tall gator.
Yeah. It's the nice thing about dinosaurs is that dinosaurs, you have a bunch of very distinct,
famous enough to be very you can show a more of a breadth of diversity.
And like this one's got
they're
cool
also
crest.
like Triceratops is clearly Triceratops. And all they have very recognizable profiles, whereas Crocs kind of look like Crocs. The same thing with snakes. Snakes don't get a lot. Like a snake in a movie is going to be either a rattlesnake or a snake.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. Either is or it's got a rattle or it doesn't.
Well, and it's like to use the famous example of a fossil croc that does get used, Deinosuchus, probably the most famous fossil crocodilian, one of the biggest, lived here in North America along the edges of the Western Interior Seaway. Big, maybe related to alligators, because this came up with us recently. It was thought to be alligatoid. The most recent data, and that's why I couldn't remember, put them outside, but it's one study. So like,
sure,
Wikipedia still has both up there because they're like, the most recent one says this, but that's one study so far. But they look very crocodile-like in their general face shape. Generally it's V-shaped. But when you actually look at the skull, it's weird. Like the nostrils are really big. It's got this little like doot in the end of the snout. This kind of like crooked bit to the snout. Crocodiles have a notch in the upper teeth for a big bottom tooth to come up. In Deinosuchus, there's 2 teeth there. There's 2 teeth in that pocket. But when you look at like Deinosuchus figures or like figurines or animated things or art, it's just a big Nile crocodile.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just a scaled up. So like even that one, which is very iconic, they don't actually draw it like it looks. They just make it a big crocodile. And which is very cool, but that's not what Deinosuchus looked like. Deinosuchus looked weird. It had weird features, but the features are subtle enough that even if you put them in, no one's going to be like, whoa, why does that crocodile look weird? Because it just is going to look like a crocodile. So like fossil crocs are super cool, but it's hard to make them identifiable.
It's within the range of variation of fictional crocodiles.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a shame.
Dutch tunicate. I think this question was asked before too. This is a duplicate
question, so.
And I forgot to bring it up, so thank you for repeating. Do any crocs have interesting symbiotic relationships?
Yes, they for sure do. Most of them, to my knowledge, are not the croc having a relationship with another animal, but animals having a relationship with the croc. There's a whole bunch of animals that center their lives around crocodilians.
Yeah.
And it's because crocodilians are ecosystem engineers. They are keystone species. They shape the environment around them, and other animals respond to it.
The first thought that came to my mind are the gator holes in the Everglades.
Yeah. There's a great video I watched that was explaining how influential gator holes are. So gators will make mud holes, when they're looking for a wet spot during drier times, and they'll just push the mud until they create a divot in the ground that has enough water in it for them to not dry out. And when that starts to dry, they'll push it further, and over generations of this and over years of a gator doing this, they'll create a pond effectively, and then that pond becomes a whole ecosystem that allows other animals to survive the dry season, but also shapes the landscape, because they were talking about the fact that these are stagnant pools. They're not fed by water, which means that like when pine needles and stuff fall into them, when they break down, they can acidify the water, which can start to eat at the limestone of Florida and deepen it further. So you can end up with a deep structure that was started by a gator, even though now natural processes have continued it. And it's like, yeah, so there's whole ecosystems that exist because of them. There's there's turtles that nest within gator nests that will trundle into the nest, just push on in and then lay their eggs and then leave, hopefully while the female gator's not near the nest. And then the babies. It
does bring to mind the image of a mother alligator with a bunch of little baby gators in her mouth and then one baby turtle. Just like, no one's noticed yet.
Yeah, it's very much like a cuckoo style.
Yeah.
I think that they do it to get the protective benefits. Is that
exactly
correct?
Yeah, because the female gator's gonna guard the nest extremely well, and female turtles
turtle is just
famously
a hole and walking away.
Don't do that. So now their eggs get the protection. The documentary that I learned about it in talked about the fact that the baby turtles do hatch at a particular time, and if I remember right, it's compared to the baby gators, so that they aren't trying to leave the nest while the female is moving the baby gators to the water.
You don't want to come out of the egg and look around and there's a bunch of gator faces.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I saw that cartoon.
I don't remember if it was right before or after.
Yeah.
But yeah, they time it so that they can get out of the nest before things get bad or right after they were bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do more news.
Woo. Let's see.
We might not get to everything, but you've got a big long list.
The next one I had, this one was interesting. It's a saltwater crocodiles again, and it is discussing a situation that was like looked into by, I think it was the BBC. Did a episode, the Deadly 60, some series, on an island called Timor-Leste or Leste. I don't know whether.
Timor-Leste is a name.
Yeah.
Is that? Sure.
Yeah. This is a
Timor-Leste.
Timor.
There we go.
Someone can let us know.
Timor-Leste, island between Indonesia and Australia, so within the saltwater crocodile range. And they were investigating the fact that this is a place, and this is, other communities, this has happened, where the local people, the indigenous people there, regard the crocodiles as part of their lore and tradition and what's the word I'm looking for? Their beliefs of how things work in that, like that. One of the stories, the creation myths or creation stories that they have, is that the island was formed by a crocodile that sacrificed itself for a boy, so that they'd have that boy and his family would have a home for going into the future, and that the crocodiles have a guardian kind of role in a lot of their stories, and like even with many of them calling crocodiles grandfather, and that they are these protectors and ancestral have an ancestral connection, but that they've been running into an issue with the fact that crocodile attacks have been on the rise in this area, and so trying to figure out how to address that issue while still respecting and working alongside the beliefs about the crocodiles and how this new situation's affecting it. And so it's an interesting scenario of two different counter dynamics in human crocodile interaction.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question when you find this crossroads of how do we do what's best for people while also not, dismantling a culture to this comes up a lot with natural hazard management, where you'll have, the classic example that comes to my mind is when there'll be like some sort of evacuation plan. It's like, yeah, the volcano's going off, everybody has to leave. And you have people who are like, no, I'm not going to leave this. This is my land. This is where my and it can be indigenous communities. It can also sometimes be non-indigenous, and it's just like
individuals who have lived there.
Yeah, I've just lived here for 80 years, and this is where I'm gonna stay. And trying to find that balance of like, we need to make sure people aren't getting bitten by crocodilians, but what without demeaning or depreciating like the people and their culture that live here.
And they talk about the fact of like working with local people because they're the ones who understand the dynamic, the history. But that it's this the crocs in this area, their numbers declined early on because of hunting. During who was it? They mentioned who was occupying or who colonized Portuguese and Indonesian rule. Their numbers were depleted and have started to come back, and so you have these beliefs and views of the croc, which also have fostered some a lack of fear of the crocs compared to maybe your average community that shares territory with saltwater crocodiles.
Because it's familiar. Yeah.
Because it's familiar and they're not seen as monstrous animals. They're seen as something to be respected. But that also means that with these increased populations and also like increasing populations of crocs and growing population of the humans in these islands, which are like human populations are also on the rise. You're increasing conflicts. So now you also have people who are like starting to shift their opinion on crocs. And the article was talking about some of the conservation efforts, and that the biggest one is education, just to try to educate people on how to be croc wise, educate them on why this issue is happening, and to try to also protect the environment so that hopefully if there are stable places for the crocs, they won't need to move near humans as much. But yeah, it's just this interesting thing of a beautiful relationship between human and crocs has gotten thrown out of whack, and issues are rising. So now they're having to readjust, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it makes me think of a couple Croc months ago when you had Marissa.
Oh yeah, Dr. Tellez, our first Croc Month guest. Dr. Tellez, who founded the Crocodile Research Coalition, which is one of our mainstay donation places.
Yeah, who was talking a lot about the education that they were doing in this. Where is she working in? Somewhere in South.
It's in South America.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Northern part of it, I think.
Yeah,
North. It's like I'll Central America, but I can't remember.
But she was talking a lot about like kind of like the education piece, because the crocs and humans have, because of the way that the environment and the human development has changed, then now they are coming into conflict in ways that they did not used to.
Yeah. So yeah, it's well, and it's very often like when I would talk to people who are moving to Florida, or when just talking to people about living alongside alligators, that like you can absolutely live with an alligator in your backyard. You just have to be aware of that reality.
Just don't go in your backyard.
Yeah, it's just like you don't let your pets out in the backyard off a leash. You don't go playing in the water frivolously and like and unnecessarily, because that is that alligator's home. And it's and I've talked to people. This isn't me advocating these things. Be safe, be wise. As a general rule, don't go in water that has an alligator in it. But I had a friend telling me about like they grew up in Florida. They had a lake, and there was a unknown alligator, big male alligator in the lake, and everyone knew about him. And they would swim in the lake all the time, and they would just keep an eye out. And while they'd be swimming, eventually the noise would attract the alligator's attention, and it would swim over just because they're curious. They want to know what's going on. And when it swam over, they just get out, walk around to the other side of the lake, and continue swimming until the gator came back over. And then they would just
piggy in the middle.
Yeah, they would just transfer sides and stuff like that.
Where it's like when you play in the street.
Yeah, exactly. You're playing in a dangerous
Darth
area.
Style. Car, and you just get out of the way, and then you go back.
Yeah, very similar concept, and that's been happening around the world. Issue here is they're with the biggest, most aggressive species, and so when human conflict happens here, they've noted that in the last 20 years, there's been a recording of 173 attacks, 78 of which have been fatal. And
that's a large percentage.
Yeah,
that's bad. Those are bad numbers. That is
a large amount. And that's and they know that it's probably higher. Many people don't report because they don't want to report the crocodile.
Yeah.
And
the lady from the Lake Placid.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Betty White.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
Just like Betty White.
And so and they noted that this might have been the kind of numbers that were happening before the crocodile numbers went down. We just don't have the records, so we don't know. It's now we went through a period of low attacks because of overhunting. Now it's having to readjust to what might have been the before time.
Yeah. Or if people's activity has moved into places which is the natural home for the crocs, but they were moved out of it, and while they weren't there, people moved in, and now the crocs are like, this is where I live.
Well, if it's still an environment for them, they're gonna need to be there.
Now there's people have gotten used to behaving in areas that maybe they didn't before because that was where the crocs lived.
And that's as they noted, the human population has where was they that said the human population is also one of the fastest growing on in the world today. So it has been a more what's the word I'm looking for? Humans, the human environment has spread faster than average as well. Just it's an interesting dynamic. Always interesting asking the question of how do we live alongside apex predators? These predators, it's especially so because we're using the same resources. We're using waterways, we're fishing. So it's harder. It feels like with a lot of other big predators, very often they live in their territory, we live in ours, but we want to use the rivers and lakes, and that's where the crocodiles live. So
we need to aspire to be at the watering hole in the Serengeti, where the lions and the zebras and the elephants are all coming together to take a drink, and it's just we all know to keep our distance and to keep an eye on each other, and everybody gets to walk away.
You know what I related to as a cyclist? I related to sharing the road.
Yeah.
As a cyclist or a pedestrian, you're sharing the road with these massive metal vehicles, and there's two creatures involved, and only one of them is going to be hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
The other one will not remember it happened.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The watering hole thing made me think. I think this was in the live action Jungle Book, which it is one of the only live action ones that I mostly enjoyed. But there was a neat moment where one of the plot points is that it's during a drought, and the water in the watering hole gets low enough that a rock appears in the middle, and the animals have what they call a rock truce of the water's gotten so low, we all need to play nice because we all need the watering hole, and the rock being visible is the indication. And if I remember right, it's a crocodile sitting there that sees the rock and then as the first one that yells "rock truce," which I loved.
I love the idea of a croc being the one that's keeping the peace, because
rock
it's
truce
like
for real.
Yeah,
Don't worry, it's safe.
Well, my thought was it's rock truce or else.
Yep.
Oh, that's not how I Croc would act.
The croc is like, listen, I said rock truce.
Yes. Yep.
Steven, the live action one.
The new live action one. The one with
from the 2000s.
The one with Christopher Walken in it.
Yes.
And Bill Murray.
On that note,
Christopher Walken played King Louis.
Yeah.
Me, a Gigantopithecus.
Hate it.
It's pretty good. Like, Disney has been cranking out the live action remakes, and most of them do feel entirely unnecessary and not very enjoyable. The Jungle Book one was pretty fun. Yeah. I enjoyed the Jungle Book.
It definitely helped that it had a Gigantopithecus by name in it. That the fan service for us specifically was high.
Yes, Christopher Walken is a Gigantopithecus. It's like, all right,
they got your numbers.
Me and Will, they got us specifically.
Talking about like the Croc, whether it being cool or not during the truce. Miles said, so the real difference between Gators and Crocs is that Gators play fair and Crocs play dirty. And like, honestly, that is kind of a good way to put it. And this isn't true for all Crocs. There's plenty of Crocs that don't see us as food. But for the species that do, it's, a Gator's not going to typically actually stalk you because we're not on the menu. A crocodile will. A saltwater or Nile croc will actively stalk a human. And you can't go in water that has a saltwater crocodile, period, at all, because that's what it's waiting for.
Yeah. Aren't there? I think it was Crocs that I've heard have, in some cases, have been known to like stake out common walking paths that people go down. Like they will hunt people the same way they hunt other. Where
they're
it's
just
like
ambush predators. They're just
this is where that type of animal comes by on a regular basis, so I'm just gonna sit here and wait for them.
My favorite bit of Croc-wise advice that I heard that I feel like drives home most clearly what it's like to be in saltwater crocodile territory is if you're camping and if you're using local water sources for your water, go at a different time of day and to a different spot.
Don't make a routine.
Don't make a routine.
Because
don't be predictable.
They will learn your routine and wait for it. And a story that
archosaurs. Smart.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same way that like if you've ever had a pet and at the same time every day your pet starts bugging you, because they know the routine.
Yeah.
This is why daylight savings is such a pain, because then the next day your cat or your dog comes up to you and is like, "Why haven't I gotten food yet?" And you're like, because of farming? I don't know.
Maybe.
Something.
Not here anymore. BC, we changed time.
BC is done.
In March, May, April, whenever. And then now we're not going to change anymore. Come on. Cascadia, join us.
Yes.
We are, we might start winding down here in a little bit. So if if there's newses you want to be sure to mention, because it looks like maybe we've gone through half of the list.
Yeah.
Oh man, these are good newses.
Yeah, no, they're super fun.
There was another one that's fun. The one about tracked movements. So once again, saltwater crocodiles. This is one of my favorite things about studies with saltwater crocodiles is people expect it to be Australia because that's where they're famous from because of Crocodile Dundee and Steve Irwin. But like it'll be like, here's a saltwater crocodile study. This one's from Indonesia. Here's a saltwater crocodile study. This one's from Australia. This one right now is from Bangladesh. And it's just like, you could be anywhere over there in that part of Oceania and surrounding territory. They did a study on released crocodiles who had been in human care for long periods. And we're seeing how did they move around? Because famously, and this is true of gators, it's true of crocs, but I like especially of saltwater crocs, I've heard it, wild crocodiles that get relocated. So if one becomes a nuisance crocodile, they'll capture and relocate. But what they have found time and time again is they will just travel miles back to where you took them from. And they'll just home back in on their territory and just come back. May take a year, but they'll just be back.
Mm-hmm.
This was a case where these were crocodiles that had been captured and then kept for like months to, I think some of them might have been almost a year or more. Where was it? The three main ones they studied had been in human care or captivity. I call it human care because that's what we used in the aquarium, because it got people's hackles up less often.
Sure.
For over 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then were released, and they wanted to see, did they return to where they were, initially kept? Or like, did they show the same homing back to where they'd been for 8 years, or something different? And what they found is they didn't home back to the captive facility. They stayed in whatever habitat they were put in, typically, or nearby. So they didn't see the human care habitat as their home effectively. When they were released back into the wild, they stayed there, which means that like reintroducing them for population boosting and stuff, it's strong support that will work, and they won't be leaving where you put them. They will stay in that population.
The crocs are like, it's a nice place to visit, but I don't want to live there.
Yeah, no, it's there was a long sabbatical there.
So I'm looking to put down roots somewhere else.
Yes. They know like one that was in a similar situation was captured from a village, held in semi-natural conditions for 16 months, and when it was released, it went back to where it was captured from. So even though it was kept somewhere that was a pretty natural habitat, it still went back to where it was captured from. And it's also fun because they make the note of like that one traveled 130 kilometers to get back where it came from. Others have been like I've heard stories of them moving like a third way up the coast of Australia, like huge, maybe not a third, but like huge stretches. So yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic of they want to be where they are comfortable, and if you put them somewhere where they will be comfortable, that is better than the more ideal, they'll stay there from a captive situation.
That's really cool. It's really cool, good information to know, and it's information that's hard to get.
Yeah.
Unless you do a specific study like this. Yeah. So that's very cool.
Can I ask Andrew's question?
Yeah.
Andrew said, how do crocs navigate those distances?
I don't know.
Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything of them having like magnetic, compass sort of sense or anything. My assumption would be that it's probably environmental indicators of like that there's specific salinities and specific temperature and specific things that they have become accustomed to, and they just keep moving in the gradient that takes them to where they want to be. So they'll return to the same river, return to the same lake, because that's where they're most comfortable. So like I don't know if it's a thing of they have the map in their head at all, or if it's just nope, this lake is too hot and
Goldilocks.
Yeah.
And as I continue to move the right way, I end
That's
up
how I
back
find my
in the
home,
habitat.
honestly.
That was my thought, especially because it isn't like they come back the next day.
Yes.
It's months or, some long period of time later. That it might be that they're just like, I have in my mind what I have developed as the ideal temperature, salinity.
What does home look like and feel like?
Exactly. And you just keep moving and you get warmer and warmer until you get there. Warmer in the hide and seek sense.
Do we get to vote? Because I vote probably there's something magnetic going on. Like
I wouldn't be surprised, just because we discover that in so many animals.
It's so many. There's lots of like birds, tons of birds. We're like finding birds all the time that are using it.
Sea turtles very famously do it.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there is, and especially for this species, which is very wide ranging.
Yeah.
And phylogenetically speaking,
it's a bird.
Birds, the closest living relatives to crocodilians, and data is more and more showing turtles probably the next related group outside of archosaurs.
Cool.
So if both of them are able to do it, that's not a guarantee that crocs could do it, but it does make it seem fairly reasonable.
I think so crocs as they seem very diurnal to me, but I think that there are sea turtles, as you said. I think that there are a lot of animals that also navigate using stars.
Yeah. Yep. So there definitely could be something like that.
That could be an factor as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually,
I thought to say that as a joke, but it could actually be true.
I think it could be true.
And in fact, they are actually not strictly by any sense, but heavily nocturnal. A lot of species. They all have eye shine.
Yeah, like the caimans. Of course. Yeah. Yes,
they all
you're
have
right.
eye shine, and nighttime is an ideal time for them to be active because the water retains the heat of the day. So they can be active during a time that a lot of other, reptiles and animals can't be.
Yeah.
And they utilize that a lot. During the,
and also, I guess
a lot of during the day, but they'll be like,
because they're just sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
They're doing the lion thing of like resting in the afternoon.
Yes.
And then they're gonna because so many mammals are crepuscular.
Yes.
For that reason of like, it's hot, I just don't want to do anything. When it's cool, I'll go down to the water and see what's up.
Get eaten by an alligator.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's odd to think of ectotherms being nocturnal, because like gut feeling is like, well, they need the heat of the sun, so they have to be out when it's sunny out. That is the only possible answer. But like Will said, especially for crocs, they're in the water, and water holds on to the heat of the day. But even other like snakes, for example, if you want to go, at least in the kind of environment that we live in, if you want to go out looking for snakes, you're better off doing it early in the morning rather than in like the peak heat of the day, because the peak heat of the day is oftentimes too warm.
Yes.
For them to be comfortable. Overheat. Like they come out in the morning to warm up, and then they go hide in the shade.
Yeah. Because
that's the other side of ectothermy, is you also need to be in a place to keep yourself cool.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
I don't know if we know the answer to it, but there's just a little bit of chat about like, is magnetic navigation basal to archosaurs, or like basically just how far back do we go? I don't know that the three of us know that.
I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah,
because
we'd have to find like a super ridiculous fossil that preserves some of those magnetic minerals.
Yeah, there was a news we talked about not too long ago that was what appeared to be some sort of magnetic mineral that might have been part of a magnetic navigation system of something, but I don't think it was associated with a particular animal.
Yeah. But it could, to me, it would make sense that it could go far back, because like pterosaurs would need to navigate. And somehow we have evidence for like migration in some dinosaurs, and migration is really the key. And that's the thing of like, crocodilians don't do that. Crocodilians don't migrate. They don't, not seasonally. They stick it out. And so if they do have it, it might be something that is reduced, that they've partially lost because they aren't using it.
They don't
as
need
much.
It for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, another thing to consider for animals that travel long distances is sometimes they're using other senses. I'm thinking of elephants.
Yes.
Elephants are very famously communicate with each other using very, very deep sounds that travel very far distances. And I think this was a study not long ago that suggested that was looking at the patterns of elephant movements across the African continent, and found evidence to support the fact that elephants might be able to hear rain from miles and miles away.
Cool. Yeah. Like the patter of it on the ground.
Yeah, a lot of like the rumble of thunder, because it is making a similar.
The vibration is happening.
I think they were doing like tracking of these herds of elephants moving over time, and then also compared it with like weather maps, and they consistently found that like as a storm formed, the elephants would turn and start moving in that direction to like go find water or something. Yeah. Which is that's just psychic powers, which is wild. But crocs also have they do like their low rumbly communication.
They also use infrasound.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if crocs could also be like, okay, well, my senses are limited, but there's a river a mile in that direction.
Yes.
I can hear the running water. Let's start over there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and I often think of that because of like gators ending up in pools where it's like, that they've got to be able to like smell or detect, because like the odds of you just randomly finding a pool in the middle of a neighborhood is fairly like that's a fairly small body of water within mostly a landlocked area. So like when they end up in places so often, I always have to like, how did you zero in on this? Were you able to smell it? Were you able to, detect it some other way and just be like, oh yeah, there's water somewhere around here. I can feel it. And
but
crocs have a divining rod
built into the skull.
Built into the skull.
Have a divining rod. We got one right here. I think that we often forget how sensitive we are.
Yes.
Because we're like, oh, dogs can smell better than this cats can see in the dark. Oh, blah blah blah. Humans are defenseless and we got nothing.
Yeah.
But this guy. But like humans can smell petrichor, which is the smell of rain falling on the ground.
Yeah.
Miles and miles and miles and miles away.
Absolutely.
And I think it's some sort of like 100 times or 1,000 times like more sensitive, like humans are whatever times more sensitive to that smell than a shark is to water. The sharks that are famous, like they can smell one drop of blood in water from a mile away.
Yeah.
But humans are so much better at that detection.
Yes, and it's
because it's so important to us.
Exactly, yeah, and it's something we often forget. But like you'll notice immediately that like if you stood under a sprinkler system versus out in the rain, immediately you can tell the sprinkler system's not rain because it doesn't smell like rain. It doesn't smell like rain. Yeah, it does not feel right. And you may not know exactly what it is we talked about this with the magnetic sensing in some episode of like, it's probably not that they're going, 28 degrees due north. It's just that, this feels good. This direction, moving in this direction, like this time of year, it feels right. It feels right to be going this way. That's probably, we have the same thing of like, well, it's with all the people coming over for the World Cup. World Cup. I almost said World Series. I'm like, nope, not that one.
It's a different one.
The World Cup. There was one post and it was just them outside and it was all of the like bugs crying out during a hot day. And they're like, what is this noise? This is my first time in America. What's that noise? And everyone in the comments was like, that's the sound of over 80 degrees. Like that's the sound of a hot day.
Yes.
And it's like, it's a bunch of like
bug buzz.
You'll get the
just like crickets or cicadas or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
There,
like that's a hot dry day sound.
That's a hot dry day
That is the
sound
of a hot dry day.
Exactly.
And it's that kind of stuff where like I remember when I first made that connection and then went, okay, but what is that noise? I've heard it my whole life growing up, and I know it means it's hot outside.
Yes.
But I haven't actually. Are you a bug or a frog? Which bug are you?
It's the sound effect you play during the establishing shot of a movie or TV show when it's a hot day or you're in the desert.
We're going to pan onto a picnic?
Yes, yeah. When we're establishing we're in summer in the South. Yeah. It's that kind of stuff where, like, I'm sure crocodilians, because, they've got they have a crazy sense of smell, like, very powerful sense of smell. Mm-hmm. They have good hearing. They have good eyesight. Yeah. There's been studies on their hearing and, that they can pick up very subtle sounds. Like, they actually have very good hearing. So like I'm sure they're just like, yep, that's the way I need to go. Why? Because that's where it's best.
Where it is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, and also the other thing that is so important to keep in mind is that a croc lives out there.
Yeah.
So like what for us might be, this is something that maybe we don't think about or we don't notice. A croc is immersed in that 100% of the time.
Yes.
The sensory experience of the wilderness that it lives in.
And like they have ways to, like, when they get into a body of water, they can detect that body of water in ways we can't. They have the ISOs, the integumentary sensory organs, the little dots along their face are the pressure sensors, but also temperature sensors. So like when they get into a body of water, they're detecting it in ways we can't. And they're like, oh yeah, no, this is good water. This is correct water.
I can feel some fish around here.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite things that I've observed, every now and then I'll be walking around my home in the dark, right? Like it's nighttime and I had to get up to go to the bathroom or something, but I haven't turned any of the lights on. And maybe you've experienced this where like you're walking and you
suddenly stop.
You suddenly stop and go,
there's a wall in front of me.
There's a wall right here.
Yes.
Or you walk past a doorway and you go, oh, there's the door.
Yeah.
And that's just the air. You're just detecting the way that sound is traveling or
reflecting or like bouncing off of
things. Yeah. And it's like
blind people have been able to learn to, and go, okay, there's something here. I can't tell you for sure what it is because I'm not quite a bat, but I can. Oh yeah, there it is. There you are. Yeah, we are more sensitive, like you said, Nora. We're more sensitive than people realize.
Yeah, I know. I can reach past something and be like, oh, I'm 8 inches away from the teapot, but I can tell it's hot still because I just feel a almost imperceptible amount of warm. But that's not how I was before. Warm. Yep. Not as warm. It's hot over here.
Yes. Yep. Well, it's similar to like, reflexes. And you're talking about animals being immersed in stuff of when you catch yourself when you fall, like the amount of neuromuscular signals and actions that happen there are intense. Of like, I remember when I was little, I noticed it where I was like walking along a beam and I lost my balance and noted that I threw my hip out, to one side and my body out to the other to shift the center of gravity. But then I went, wait a minute, why did I move? Like, it feels like
your brain
more
understands
of me,
physics.
Yep. It feels like more of
your
me
body's in it all the time.
The wrong way than I wanted to. Like, if you asked me which way I should have moved, I would have told you the opposite of what my body just did.
Yes. I remember having the first time that I did that where I like reached over to like reach for something and then like noticed my foot went out this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is my foot up there?
Yep.
Because the calculations up here understand how counterbalancing works.
I have a pull-up bar and somebody new came to my house and was like, oh, how many pull-ups can you do? And I started doing pull-ups and they're like, I saw them watch my foot because my one foot sticks straight out when I do a pull-up. And I'm like, obviously it's a counterbalance of like me doing this and there's too much weight and it wants to swing. So I stick one foot out. I don't think about it. It just happens to me. As I just do it, my body's like, yeah, this is how it's going to be easier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Roland asks, how deep do saltwater crocs go?
Ooh, yeah.
How deep do they dive?
They definitely can go, down to the bottom of deep lakes, and they go offshore. They don't go super deep down, so like even when they're out in the ocean, they're probably not going in any place that's losing most of the sunlight. Like they're probably staying well within the photic zone. I don't have a number off the top of my head, but they can dive down pretty deep, and they can also stay down for quite a while, especially if they're resting. Like many crocodilians sleep underwater, and when they're sleeping, they can sleep for over an hour if they are resting. There is a number you'll find, and I don't remember right off. The longest period that they can hold their breath, that an alligator can hold their breath, and that number is based off. It's based off it's very long, but it's based off of a study that effectively tested how long it takes them to drown.
Yeah. I think that you've talked about that.
Yeah, and it's like that's not the same.
Like concrete shoes some alligators onto the bottom of a pool, and we're like, all right,
see what happens
when they die. That's it. That's the number.
And it's like
I'll tell you, that's not how long I can hold my breath for.
Exactly.
It's not how long it takes me to die.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that minus a little bit.
Yes.
It's minus quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm gonna come up for breath well before the number that I'm sure you'd get if you held me underwater.
Yes.
But yeah, they can stay down for like up to an hour if they are like sleeping. And it's insane. Usually they don't. Usually they will stay down and they just will boop and just stick the nose out, breathe for a little bit, and then just it's so fun because especially if they're in water that is shallow enough for it to be shallower than they are long, so like less than 10 feet deep.
It's just like
they just lift up like a hinge and because they're just shifting their lungs to change their buoyancy, and there's just no body movement and there's no surface movement. It just boop, boop.
All right, we have a couple more questions that now Will has to answer both of these because these are both the most Will questions.
Yeah.
Stephen asks, salties that die at sea, when their corpse reaches the bottom, are their bones eaten by the same kind of bone worms as whales or a different stuff?
Yeah, there was a study that tried to look into this. They took some gators and they chained them down to the bottom of, I believe it was in the Gulf of Mexico. Yes.
I was remembering this and I couldn't remember what it was.
Dead gators.
Pre-deceased.
Once we figured out how long they could hold their breath,
now that they're dead,
let's
see what happens after they're dead.
This was a much more recent study. These were like they had died at a inhuman care, probably
exactly natural deaths. And they chained them down and then came back and checked on them to see what had happened. And they found feeding traces and they found stuff like that. I don't think they were down there long enough to see like bone worm activity. But notably, one of them was missing.
I was just going to say, didn't they lose one?
Something took it. But yeah, from what we could tell, scavengers handled a large reptile pretty similarly. Like there wasn't any seemingly issue with ocean life handling a large reptile. So like, they probably did handle it the same way they would have the Mesozoic marine reptiles back in the day of just very whale folly.
Colo Wascolo says, I live in a country where there are no crocs. That's a shame. I bet you have snakes, though. I imagine it can depend on region or species, but generally, how frequently would people have run-ins with them or see them in the wild?
Depends on
where you are.
Yeah, depends on which species you're talking about. Because some are more numerous. So like here in North America, the American alligator, incredibly common. Like if you live in Florida and there is water on your property, there is probably going to be an alligator in it at some point. Like that is just the general, that the running joke is, if you like, I've seen this with Louisiana and Florida, is if you want to know how to know if there's an alligator in a body of water, is you go up to it, put your hand in it, and if your hand gets wet, there's an alligator. Because if there's water, there's an alligator in it.
Go.
It's Florida.
It's kind of like deer in a lot of places, where it's like,
it's just there.
Yeah, I don't see deer every day.
Yeah.
But like, well, it's the, like, I've been many times, this has happened to me, where I'm with a group of people and somebody goes, oh, look at the deer. And then you go, ooh. And then they're like, oh, they went into the trees. And you're like, oh, I didn't see them. That's fine.
Yep.
It's a deer. I will see another deer.
I will almost hit one in my car later.
Yes, exactly.
And so like,
it's like, it's cool to see one, but like, you're not
never going to see it again.
You're not going to write it in your letter home.
But then like the American crocodile, which is more common in the Caribbean and down in South America, very rare in Florida. Like if you get a chance to see an American crocodile, that's a red letter day. That's a fun, like if you're down at the very southern tip, you might see them more often, but anywhere else, you're very lucky. Other species are going to be similar to gators, like Nile crocodiles, saltwater crocodiles, very, very common in the places they're found. You know, much like the alligator in Australia, if you're in the Northern Territory of Australia, it's like, well, is it wet? Then don't swim there unless it's chlorinated and in your fenced-in backyard.
Well,
like
you can see it.
If you can't see the bottom, don't get in that water. But then others, you're going to have situations where, like, you know, China only has the Chinese alligator, and they live in a very small area, and they are very rare comparatively. So, like, most people aren't going to be encountering them. Same with the gharial. They live in very specific places. They're not going to be encountered as often. You're not going to have them probably getting into people's backyards as often. So different species, it will depend. South America, you're going to have a whole lot of interactions because they've got multiple species of caiman and crocodile down in South America. That's the crocodilian hotspot of the modern world and recent history of the world. South America is crocodilian. I had a comparison, but that's the party place for crocodilians.
Yes, it's where the crocs hang.
Yes,
it's warm. There's lots of water, lots to eat.
It's so good. So people there, it's very much like American alligators, where people are just like, well, there's a caiman in the backyard, like, keep an eye on it. But like, but also finish your chores. Like, we still have stuff to get done.
A crocodilian is not an excuse to show up late to work.
Exactly. Yes.
That's like, we saw an alligator. We see an alligator every week.
I will give you an example, a non-animal example of this is the analogy. Okay. I grew up in the north part of BC. But Canada, it's really tall, but most of the people live right at the bottom a little bit. I grew up at the north of BC, right before the territories border, so I was maybe like 59 point something latitude north. In the wintertime or the summertime or whenever, my mom would come home from being out in the evening. She would say, oh, there's some northern lights outside. And then we would say, are they good ones?
Yeah.
Like, they're not that great. And we'd be like, meh, okay. Whereas most people in their life are like, I'm going to take this epic trip to go see the northern lights, and whatever I do see, it's going to be like something I remember for the rest of my life. No, it's a little bit cloudy today. So like, I don't know. I'll catch you the next time.
Yep. I'm going to finish my show.
Yes.
And
that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me know if they turn like pink or something, then call me.
And like, there are some species that will always be rare, like the Indian gharial, most endangered, gonna be rare. But there's where they are found very often. There's a species that is very common, and though like in India, it's the mugger crocodile. That's the one that like you'll see them. They're pretty common. They're all over the place.
We are gonna start to wrap things up. Will, if there's any of your other news that you want to like make a quick mention, if there's anything that was like super cool that you want to make a quick mention of, We can also share these news links on the Discord in the Croc chat. So people can check them out themselves.
I don't have any other that I was able to read through fully.
Cool.
But there was one that was another just thing I learned, which is a study on the current threatened status of Mexico's Chiapas caimans, which is a subspecies of spectacled caiman, or Chiapas. And I didn't know Mexico had caimans. I didn't know they came that far north. So like that was fun to learn. It's a subspecies. They're only found in like a very specific area. So that's part of why they're endangered, is that it's a very specific genetic population. But yeah, I didn't know caimans actually came that far out of South America. Pretty cool.
That's very cool. Also, Sonnen asked a great question about temperature determination, and I will answer it very quickly. We don't know. Yeah, no. That's the quick and easy answer is meh.
Like probably they had it, I would assume.
Yes. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us for this, our third, maybe, annual Croc Month live stream.
Yeah.
We do Croc and Snake Month every summer. Croc Month in June, Snake Month in July, Croc Month in honor of World Croc Day, which is this Wednesday, June 17th. Go, think about hugging a croc and then don't do it on Wednesday.
Draw a cute picture of a croc.
Draw a cute picture of a croc and then post it in the Discord. Buy a croc plushie.
Yeah. Get yourself a huggable croc.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got so many.
Get yourself a huggable croc. Wear your Crocs. Make up some stuff and cook something in a crock pot.
Maybe some sort of jambalaya to,
Ooh, there you go.
That just made me realize, certainly there have been numerous times of people cooking alligator in crock pots, which
for sure
makes me very happy.
I've had croc in a Mongolian hot pot. So.
There's probably crock pots that are croc patterned.
Yeah, that would be. I want one.
Like the Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket. It's just a crock pot. Listeners, Croc, this is the halfway mark of Croc Month, June 15th. We're halfway through the month. There's more Croc stuff coming up. Over on our Discord channel, the Croc Chat channel is active all month long. It'll close at the end of June and then be replaced by Snake Month next month. But for the next 2 weeks, you can get in there, talk about Crocs, share your pictures and your thoughts, ask your questions. We'll post these news links over there so that you can check them out. There's also some that we didn't get to, so it's just a good like a dozen or so cool bits of Croc news from the past year. So you could go check that out. Also, 2 days from now on World Croc Day, we will release a special bonus episode, Croc Chat, with our friend Maddie Tarala, who came on to talk with us about her alligator fossil master's research.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Maddie's great. Huge fan of Maddie. And then we will have another similar bonus episode on World Snake Day, which is July 16th. So keep your ears out for that. Another friend of the pod to talk about their very cool research. That friend of the pod might be in the chat at the moment. Also...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to answer Steven. Steven had a question of whether they should or shouldn't have gator tail fritters.
Answer yes.
Answers yes, because alligator farming was one of the big ways that they were protected and brought back, because it meant people didn't have to hunt for the skin and meat. So eating alligators, good for gator conservation.
Awesome. Thanks, Will.
And if you'd like to support us and our scaly friends out in the wild, head on over to the Common Descent Patreon. You can support us at all sorts of different levels, and there's all sorts of different goodies like bonus content. We do patron live streams. We just did one 2 days ago for this month. During June and July, our limited edition, limited time, Croc and Snakes tier is available on Patreon. You can only join this tier during June and July. If you join, you get exclusive Croc Month and Snake Month stickers, and the support that we receive at those tiers during these months will contribute to charitable donations we will be making on behalf of the podcast later in the summer this year to the Crocodile Research Coalition based in Belize. I did look it up.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Our friend Marissa Tellez, Save the Snakes, which I believe is actually based in, oh no, now I don't remember. Might have been South Africa. I think it was South Africa.
That's right.
We had Hiral Naik on our first Snake Month special bonus thing, and the Natural Resources Defense Council, which is an international organization that provides legal support for environmental issues and protecting environmental places. That felt very cogent for our current times, because there's a lot of legislation going on here in the US and other places that are really detrimental and damaging to a lot of natural habitats and protected wildlife spaces. So places like the NRDC are working overtime, and we can lend them some support. If you want to support wildlife and such, you can make donations. There's also a ton of places, probably some local to wherever you are, that accept volunteers for various things. There's all sorts of ways that you can contribute. One of those ways is to join us on Patreon. And then you're supporting our podcast and our science education efforts, and then also some wildlife and stuff.
I will throw in that another way to support both the podcast and wildlife conservation in general is just be an ambassador and tell folks about it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Be passionately excited about animal conservation and environmental conservation, and you'll get people on board with you.
Yeah.
Keep your ears out for next weekend. Episode 246 of Common Descent will be this year's Croc Month themed Crocs episode. It's a fun one. We recorded the discussion. It's pretty good. Also, Leave It to Us season 2 is well underway. First 3 episodes of the season out of 12 are out. That's Nora.
Oh, that's me. I wasn't paying attention.
That's you. Leave It to Us. We're talking about plants very briefly. That's Nora and Allie. Leave It to Us have their own separate podcast channel. You can check it out if you want to learn about plants and stuff. Also, there is a Leave It to Us Patreon if you want to support those scientific efforts. And if you support Leave It to Us on Patreon, you get access to bonus content. And also, you can vote on the books that we will be reading each month for the Leave It to Us plant-themed book club, Reading Between the Pines. This month on the Discord next Wednesday, we will be meeting to discuss our June reading material, Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, which I did get a hold of the audiobook and I did listen to, and it's a weird book.
Somebody referenced it in the comments.
I'm going to have to listen to it again, because some books you can listen to while you're like out and about doing stuff. Yeah. This is not one of those books. Okay. I have to go back and re-listen to some parts. Yeah. Anyway, happy Croc Month, happy Pride Month to all of our lovely, beautiful, and proud listeners. Cops. I don't know if you can hear that.
No, they're just doing like a whoop, whoop, whoop.
On the mic.
Yep, yeah, exactly. They were just cheering.
It's because of all the being gay and doing crimes. Be gay, do crimes. And that's that. If you want to continue the conversation, if you have more questions you want to ask, if you want to interact with us some more, head over to the Discord. Yes. Croc Chat's open for another 2 weeks. Go check it out. Go be involved. Thank you all so much for joining us for the live stream. We love doing these live streams because we get to interact with our audience. We get to answer some fun questions. You help us mix it up so that, it's different every time because of the engagement that we get from the audience. Thank you for your incredible support. Even if you're not a patron, even if you're not following us on any of the socials or any of the Discord, just listening to the podcast, just absorbing it, telling your friends about it is so incredibly helpful. Feel free to join us in any of the places. Leave us a review on wherever you listen to the podcast. All those things are fun little ways to help us out and keep the podcast going. Will, I will leave it to you to sign us off on our Croc Month celebration. Are there any final thoughts you would like to share?
Or we just do like a big cut.
The Croc cut.
But I'll leave it up to you.
Next month,
I would love to have one of those that is a Croc mouth. I've got a bunch of Croc stuff. I've got a Croc staple remover. I've got Croc. I was trying to see if I've got Croc like chip bag clips. I've got a Croc USB I have a whole bunch of things.
Ooh.
I've got a Croc scrub brush.
Yeah.
I like things. I've got a Croc cane that you can just see barely in the corner back there.
You have a Croc oven mitts, don't you?
I got
Yes, I
Croc
got
oven
them.
mitts. I like things that are
Functional.
Crocs. It makes me
Dear
very
listeners, if you head over to commondascendpodcast.com and scroll way down to the bottom of the page, you will find a physical mailing address
happy.
for the podcast. So if you want to send Will something Croc themed, that's the place to send it.
We've gotten some good. I got Croc scarf from a listener. It's awesome.
I will also say it's Will's birthday coming up, so this is the time. Croc month.
That's true.
Then rolls right into Will's birthday. So
don't ask Will what month his birthday's in.
It's not in Croc month.
Don't ask him.
It just means I get multiple months that are wonderful.
Special for Will. Special Will times.
Croc month. It's like Christmas. Will extends Croc month.
Yep.
Several additional weeks.
Yep. Exactly. Just from here to Christmas, it's best time of the year.
Lucy, hello Lucy, has said request for Croc show and tell. So at some point we'll do a Croc show and tell.
Absolutely.
Hey,
if you have questions, put them in the Discord and I'll post pictures happily.
Cool.
Also, the other thing that I should mention, Bricks with Basque is Will's Lego themed series, which has some fun Croc themed stuff on there. Bricks with Basque. That's the physical. That's the logo.
Yeah. Yep. Got a couple of Croc builds. Gonna have Croc and Snake Month themed design and builds this year. The build will be it's kind of Croc, but it's also one that I've been waiting to do, so it's happening. It's a gift to me, and it's Crocky enough that it works.
All of Bricks with Basque is up on our YouTube channel, so you can find it there. There's been, I don't know, like 20 episodes or something. It's been going since last year. So go check it out.
Yes. Thank you all for showing up, everybody. This was so much fun.
It's awesome. Join us next month for our Snake Month live stream, July 15th, same time, same channel, and we'll do basically the same thing, but it'll be about snakes.
Same level of excitement.
Just Nora won't be there, probably.
I'll be in the chat.
You'll be in the chat.
I'll be in the chat. I'll be excited.
We'll see who else we can get. I'll bring Maddie. Our other Croc person.
It's now you both sit there and listen and listen as we talk about snakes.
I'm gonna get all the Croc people that I can. I'm just gonna sit them down. I'm gonna tie you down and see how long you can hold your breath.
Yes, Crocs, but also let me talk about snakes.
Yep.
How much can you listen to me talk about snakes until you die?
Yes. Reason number 1, snakes are the best.
And it's a snake skeleton and each one is a vertebra. And I'm like, reason number 1, reason number 2, we're gonna be here a while. I have a snake skeleton and there's some 300 vertebrae in it.
We'll see how long that lasts.
I could come up with 300 reasons.
It's just pick a species for each one.
1, no front left foot. 2, no right left.
It's like a really extended game of Hangman.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Boy, I've done those in class before. Like, come on, no, we went over this vocab term yesterday. You have the left foot now.
Left foot, left shoe, left shoelaces.
I'm gonna end up dressing this Hangman.
Yeah. Some frilly socks poking at the top.
All right, we got to get out of here. End the thing. We got to go. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nora, for joining us.
Thank you.